effort. Right, clean the filter, open for more. There we go. Look at that paint come off. You'd think whoever painted it hadn't heard of etch primer. That was me. And I hadn't. Well, it's undeniably much cleaner. I'm a bit alarmed about how much paint came off. But yeah, I could probably have kept going with the jet wash and completely stripped the paint off the whole thing. So, just remember people, if you're going to paint onto aluminium, use some etch primer. It was many years ago that I can't even remember. Must have been 15 years ago I painted this, and I didn't know anything about anything by the looks of it. Anyway, the engine bay, which is the bit I actually wanted to do, has now had most of its grime blasted away, so that's super duper. And I can now get to work repairing the chassis. So the next thing I'm going to do is go on a mission to town and go and buy a needle gun, or needle scaler if you prefer, and then I'm going to attack the chassis with that. Right, I'm back from my mission to the big city, and here's what I've scored. I've gone and got one of these. So it's a little air chisel contraption. Now the chisel bit's quite handy for all the sort of things you'd use an SDS chisel for, but the real reason I got this is because it's part of a kit, and it has this attachment, which is a scaler gun, or a needle gun as I normally call it. So I'm going to put on the compressor, fire up some air, and then I'm going to have a go at it on the chassis here, and we'll see how well it does. Normally I do this sort of thing with shot blasting, but I don't have a, well, I do have a shot blaster, but it's all in bits. It makes a horrible mess doing shot blasting. Well, it's really a miserable job. I'm hoping with the thick metal on the chassis that the needle gun will do the job. But we'll find out in a minute. Just waiting for the air to come up before I fire it up. Now, in addition to wearing ear defenders and goggles, you really need some good padded gloves for this one, because these things vibrate ferociously, and that's the whole point of them, I guess. And yeah, there's lots of alarming scaremongering on the internet about this, as with so many things. But I think if you're sensible with it, and I'm not going to be using it all day long, I think it'll be fine. So, I don't think the air's up yet. I might actually do a proper review of this if I like it. If I don't like it, then I definitely will. Won't do much yet. We put a bit of oil in it anyway before I start. how well the needle gun works. But let me show you how much air it takes. I've had to drag this massive compressor out of storage. This is running off a big diesel generator next to it. That's feeding this big air tank here. And that's feeding over to the Landrover. It's still barely keeping up with demand. So I'm going to have to use the little compressor as well. Parallel these two together into this big tank. Over to that one. There's some of the damage from build so far. It's in here. Bulkhead, the footwell's been replaced by someone. See a little passion down there. The seas up here reasonable. Along here, it's gone right where it's been welded. There, that's a whole bunch of weld seam. Just blended out. Yeah, this whole section here hasn't taken at all. Poor effort, all in all. The rest of the bulkhead's not as bad as it should be, really. There's plenty of holes in it. Yeah, I haven't even gone with the needle gun yet. But this is like a filler here or something. It's looking unlikely I'm going to get it done by January. Some really horrible welding done here by previous owners. There's a few bits of horrible welding done by me, but this is a replacement front dumb iron here. But here it's been welded on. This whole seam here just hasn't taken. It's just sat on top. You look around the back, it's nearly as bad. And then here this patch has just rusted through. And on the other side, this patch here has rusted through the middle of the patch. And that's the trouble with putting patches on. You just encourage capillary action between the patch and the original bit of chassis, and then they both rot out. Actually, looks quite good on top, but underneath, yeah, it's in a bad way. So my painting techniques tends to be to whack on as much paint as I can get, work it in everywhere it needs to be, and then just run the very tip of the bristles over it. And then if you've got the right paint, it will flatten out a lot. Anyway, I better turn off the camera because the dog thinks I'm talking to him and he's starting to look worried. See you in the next bit.